I realized nobody speaks English, was like, oh my God, it will be very hard. But I keep my goals on my mind and I just have one thing in my mind, like don't skip practice. Don't skip practice. If it's hard, don't skip. If your body hurts, don't skip. Try to go in there every single day and something will happen someday. Or you will die or you will be a good Kendo practitioner. If you are trying something and you have good intentions, I think people also can feel it. And magically, the people start to ask, what's happening here? What is this place? How it works? Who are you? And I think that's how it starts.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Tokushikai Inside Look podcast. Today we're speaking with Eddy Varela from Cuenca, Ecuador. Eddy has been training for over 25 years, during which time he's had many successes in national and international Kendo competition, including national champion, Latin American medalist, Pan American medalist, 2 times national team member, and is also the first Ecuadorian to attend the International Budo University. Eddy holds the rank of Kendo Sandan, Iaido Nidan, and Shodan in Judo and Taekwondo. This interview was a fascinating journey through Eddy's Budo life that ranged from the study of sports and its relation to Kendo, multiple mindset changes in how to practice and how to teach, and the challenges and rewards of starting a dojo. This podcast was created to pay tribute to individuals like Eddy and show fellow practitioners around the world that there is no roadblock insurmountable in our pursuit of improvement. No success comes without fear and doubt. Eddy is a wonderful example of what you can achieve with grit and perseverance, and I'm sure many of you will see a similar power within yourself as well. So, without further ado, please enjoy this wide-ranging conversation with Eddy Varela.
Okay, so thank you, Patrick, for this amazing opportunity. Eddy Varela from Cuenca, Ecuador. I'm 32 years old, and I started to practice martial arts when I was a child. I started practicing Taekwondo since I was 9 years old. And actually I started because my older brother, he started first. And actually he was my sensei at that time. And I grew up practicing different kind of sports because my whole family they're sportsmen. Actually, my dad and my mom, they met each other studying sports in Mexico many years ago. And then I started doing basketball and that stuff, but it was not really my best choice. So when I started to play martial arts, I felt something different. It was a beginning of a wonderful life for me. So when I was in the university, I decided to study sports. And I just realized this is the thing that I want to do for the rest of my life. At that time, I was black belt in Taekwondo, and I decided to introduce myself to practicing Kendo. It was the same case, like my brother started first, and then I followed him. Then I went to IBU, the International Budo University in Katsura, Japan. At that time, I was a Kendo Shodan or Nidan, maybe. So, yeah, at this moment, I am 3rd Dan of Kendo, 2nd Dan of Iaido, and 1st Dan of Judo and Taekwondo. And I practice martial arts every single day of my life. And it's really, really a wonderful journey every day.
So growing up in a family where your brother was already doing this, you said he was your teacher, but your parents were also into sports. So was there added pressure in you being good at these things? Did you feel like you were always needed to be better than other kids?
Well, I think my first of all target in my life was to try to be better than my brother because he was kind of a rock star for me. And it was a bit of pressure. My parents are very strict and they were very mean saying you have to practice some sports, you have to do it for your life. And time maybe I did it just because I wanted to be a good kid, a good son. But then I did it for myself because I realized it was helping me to be a better person.
When did you decide that you wanted to study sports in university?
Well, I think it was a kind of heritage of my family. So I think when I was 16 or 17 years old, maybe I started to practice high performance sports. I was practicing like 7 or 8 hours per day. And I just thought like, yeah, I'm good to doing this. I want to know more about sports science and that stuff because I was just a sportsman. But when I studied science, I thought like maybe someday I can teach it for other people, no? You know, maybe I can start teaching it. So when I was maybe 17, 18 years old, I started to help. My brother opened his own dojo, and I was giving some classes for the kids there. So that starts a different perspective of my life there, like a teacher, you know. And until now, that's what I'm doing.
Oh, so you already had some early practical experience teaching athletics and or just stuff that's physical. And we know that when we go to school, we learn theory. So when you entered university, did you find that what you had learned from your previous experience as like even before you entered, how was that helping in your studies? And then what did you learn on top of what you already knew? What couldn't you have learned in practice that you had to go to university for?
Well, that's a very good question because I think to being a sportsman, it teaches you responsibility, you know, and you know how your body is capable to resist some different kinds of trainings like hard training or rest or something like that. It's trying to mix to get the best combination, the best possible combination to be in or to make your goals a reality. So when I started to study at university, I think that was the perfect mix in my life. I understood how my body is working inside. How can I resist? How can I recover? How can I also eating good food to being a better sportsman? So when I understood that, I think I try to apply in the rest of my life and in the rest of my sports like Kendo. Because you know, in Kendo, in my country, the Kendo is, how can I say it, like just trying to keep the traditions and the respect like Budo, you know, and I'm proud of it. I like it. But it was the other part of the Kendo, like the training and how to prepare a sportsman to be a good Kendo practitioner. The university starts to help to understand that and to improve the Kendo in my country.
Mm-hmm. Could you go into more detail? Like what was it that you learned particularly in your classes or in whatever field that you could apply to your Kendo?
Yeah. For example, well, the first thing is the sports training. It's a science, you know, and for example, if you are watching the Olympics, they cannot do kind of training just thinking that some kind of training will help. No. They are very, very serious and saying like, no, this is good, this is not good for you, or today you have to practice this, and tomorrow, no, you don't. So the planning, the part of the planning on the trainings is the best way when some sportsman wants to get some target or some goal. Mm-hmm.
When you use the word science, what immediately comes to mind for me is that you're collecting a lot of data and then you're looking at it and you're saying, is this working? And if it's not, I'm going to modify it.
Yes.
So there's no like history of this is how we practice. And if you get injured, just practice more. There's more of, okay, what's going wrong? And it's...
Well, it was also something very, very interesting to talk about because when I went to IBU, it was shocking for me because I just knew some people like my senseis or my partners who went practicing since 5 years old, 4 years old, every single day of their lives. And they are the best in the world, you know? And when you try to join that kind of club and you start to think, well, when these people have rest or when these people change the planning of the training, no, they are doing almost exactly the same every single day of their lives. So it was shocking, you know, because it was different and at the theory that I learned in the classroom. But I just realized like those guys were training how hard the whole life that their bodies is the only thing that they know. And this group is very, I don't know how to say, solid, like compact, you know, very elite group. and they're working every day. They are practicing hard. And I felt like in Budo, that works. That works. If you want to be a good player, please, hard working every day.
Yeah, that's become something I've even thought about recently that is so counterintuitive, because we look at back in the day when we were all just a little more evolved than apes, and we were walking in Africa, and we just walked for ages. That's how we got our food. We walked until our prey, like buffalo or whatever, got too tired. And then we just kill them and we eat them. But nowadays, if I go for a hike for like an hour, my feet are hurting and everything is swollen up and stuff like that. So there's just something that's counterintuitive to we created this science to help us not get injured and to last longer, where in the past there was none of this, and yet they could do it all.
Exactly.
So have you thought about, like, what is it like? Did you, when you went to IBU and you saw this group, did that change what you think you learned at university? Did you think about changing how you apply what you've learned?
Yeah, I think 180 degrees. It changed my mind forever. I think the people is working around their comfort zone. And, you know, for example, if some new student joins the dojo and you want to make him to learn fast, and you start with the basics, you know, you start with the basics every day. But after 2 or 3 weeks, they will say, like, I'm tired. I don't want to come to practice tomorrow. We are doing the same thing. I want to do new things. It's bored. I'm tired, and a lot of excuses, you know. And I think that's not good for all, because we are not doing the same discipline and that stuff that helped the human being since million years ago. And now the people, they're just trying to be better than another people, and when it's not happening, the people is becoming depressing or something. And I think that is the way when the real spirit of martial arts starts inside you. If you can recover for that kind of, I don't know if it's a way of thinking or something, Budo will help. But if you just give up, it's done. You're out.
Yeah, it sounds like something that maybe it's your family that you're kind of born with, so you didn't really have to make that big switch. Do you have examples of students that you've taught or someone else that you've witnessed have had to make this change? Like they just didn't have the right mindset, and then somehow they had to break through, whether you helped them or someone else?
Yeah, well,
like
I have a good example of a guy who was our partner at the dojo. When he just come into the dojo, we just saw him and saying, no way. It was a guy who never, ever tried any sport in his life. And, you know, he were with, I don't know if it's correct in English to say obesity?
Obese? Yeah.
Obese, yes, sorry. And he were just playing video games the whole life and watching anime and that stuff. And he came into the dojo and saying, like, I would like to practice it, but I never tried sport in my life. And it was a really, really tough mission. My brother started to teach him and tried to push hard that guy every day. And I think in a couple years or 3 years, he becomes the national champion of his country, because he was foreign in Ecuador. He was from Peru. Wow, that was just amazing, because he now is very strong. Actually, he is living in Japan and is still practicing Kendo. He married with a Japanese girl, and now he's practicing at the dojo and working. Well, you know, he can't practice the stuff how he would like to practice, because, you know, the salary and when you get a job in Japan is very hard, and the schedule is very tight, but he is still practicing. And all the people here in my country and in my dojo remembers him like, wow, if he could do it, anybody can do it. Like, every single guy can push hard and becoming a good sportsman and a champion.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
So if you were to use him as an example for teaching a new class of sports science students or even new Kendo students, What would you say was the transformation? How would you explain using theory or using practical advice on what changed in him that allowed him to go from a couch potato to someone that could be a national champion?
Well, at that time, we were trying to improve some kind of sports test in us. My brother was trying that. I was like just also a beginner. And I think he was inspired in some athletics tests and trying to improve in the four physical capacities like the strength, velocity, resistance, and flexibility. And we were practicing that kind of general work, not specific, not only Kendo, yes, also Kendo. But with the Kendo, we were practicing another kind of workout for us. And I think that helped us a lot. And it was very good planned. And I think in few months after that, we went to some national tournaments and we won. And I think that was just thanks for that kind of training. But, in Kendo, it's not just like that. In Kendo, if you don't have the fundamentals good inside you, it will not work, or it will have a limit point, just until something, and then you have to improve your fundamentals or go back to the beginning, go back to the Kihon and start again. So at that time, we have a very good help from JICA, the International Japanese Cooperation Agency, and they sent us for almost a month and a half, 14 senseis to try to teach Kendo in the whole country. And we were very lucky because in Cuenca came some sensei called Iwamoto sensei. He's actually the Beppu Daigaku Shihan and the head coach. And wow, that was amazing. It was a month with kind of new practicing. It was fundamentals mixed with Shiai, mixed with Jigeiko, mixed with competition training. We were just becoming crazy. Like our minds wouldn't be able to understand what's happening here. And after that, at the end, before they go back to Japan, we celebrate the first JICA tournament in Ecuador. Actually, that's the currently national individual championship in my country. And we went there and wow, it was awesome because I couldn't say like we won easily, but it was very, very helpful. And when we were to the Shiai, to the competition, we were feeling so confident. And yeah, we won. We did it. We did a good job. So that I think that starts a new chapter in Kendo in Ecuador. And for us, for the Cuenca people, I think we are actually the guys who are training every single day. Our training schedule is from Mondays until Saturdays. Every single week, the guys are trying to practice 6 days per week. And in my case, yeah, I practice 6 days per week. And the seventh day, I also training by another different kind of sport, but trying to be in a good combination between Kendo and my workout. Mm-hmm.
Can you explain how you managed that amount of training? Because a lot of places outside of Japan, we don't have like dedicated dojos, so you have to rent space. Mm-hmm. What was the situation where you practiced?
Yeah, actually in Japan, the people who are training at the university level or high school level, it's because they are living into the or close to the university or close to the high school, and it's actually part of their academic record. But in other countries, it's very difficult because the distances between the dojo and home are very far, or between the place to work and the dojo are very far. I think here in Cuenca, we are lucky because our city is not that big. We are 300,000 or 400,000 people of population. And I think if you are driving 20 minutes, you can reach any place, or 30 minutes. So we start like that. And we try from the beginning. When I open Cuenca Budokan, that's the name of my dojo. When I open a Cuenca Budokan, I start with that rhythm. Like, okay, guys, if you want to join my dojo, please, you have 6 days per week to practice it. So now I think the people who join the dojo, like the new guys, the new students, they start like that. They don't know another kind of practice. And I think that's better. When we visit another dojo in another city, the guys sometimes talk with the new friends and say like, hey, how many times you practice kendo? And they say like twice per week or once per week. They say, no way. And you, 6 or 7 days, some days. And some days, some days they training twice or 3 times in one day. So I think my guys, my little kids, they love kendo. And they are training after the pandemic COVID stopped. And actually they were asking like, Sensei, hey, when we reopen, when we can join the dojo. And for now, that's sad because we don't have actually a dojo. We are training in a high school, and in the high school that I work, and that's an amazing place because it's open and it's a good air there, and the people that work in this high school, they support the sport. Wow, like amazing. I don't know if there's another high school who support that kind of big to any sport. And yeah, we are practicing there, and the guys and the little kids are training hard.
So you're able to manage 6 or 7 days a week. It's just like Japan. Speaking of that, I want to hear about your trip to IBU because you started Kendo. You said you were first dan or second dan, so still relatively early in your Kendo career. What was it that helped you discover that IBU existed? And then what motivated you to actually take that journey and spend a year and a half in Japan?
Yeah. Well, that was crazy. Because when I started to play Kendo, I think I myself for 1 or 2 years, and I had the lucky to be in part of the national team. And when we were to some international competition, I met a lot of friends, and some of them were joined IBU dojo. And I was listening like IBU, what's that? I don't know. I didn't know what was there. And someday we were talking with my friends of Chile and some friends of Colombia, and they say like, yeah, it's amazing. It's a Becca opportunity to go and practice in Kendo for 1 year and trying to know about the history, the culture and that stuff. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. In Ecuador, nobody did it before. So I was very curious about it, and I was trying to find it in the internet, but it was difficult if nobody can help you or nobody's next to you trying to help you to saying like, hey, you have to do this or don't do this. But when I thought like, maybe I can't quit my job and go there for 1 year and let's see what's going on. For the beginning, my sensei here, the president of the Kendo Association in my country, he is like old style sensei. So he was refusing that. He said like, no, please don't, because I heard many bad comments about the university. They say like they just focus in Shiai. They are you will be like kind of bad welcoming or something like that, or the guys at the Kendo club are very tough or something like that. Because actually until now, that's the things that everybody hears about IBU. But I think I was completely sure that I wanted to do it. So, well, my sensei tried to find another university, for example, or if I could join some friends in Japan to trying to go and practice for a couple of months and then back, but I didn't want to do it. And yeah, I tried almost in secret to apply for IBU. And when the news that I would accept came to me, I was so happy. And I talked with my sensei and say, Sensei, and he was like, oh, really? Okay, good luck. So I didn't know anything. Like if somebody comes to me now and say like, okay, could you tell me some topics or some advices to go there? Man, I kind of read a book about it. But at that time I went to Japan. I didn't know what gonna happen there. I just went there and everything was new. Some people my friends of my Becca year, when they're talking with another Beccas or their senseis knows about it, so for they were easier. But for me, it was completely new. I didn't know anything. And when I've been there and I realized like nobody speaks English or something like that, was like, oh my God, it will be very hard. But I keep my goals on my mind, and I just have one thing in my mind, like don't skip practice. Don't skip practice. If it's hard, don't skip. If your body hurts, don't skip. Try to go in there every single day, and something will happen someday. Or you will die, or you will be a good Kendo practitioner. And I think both happened. Like after 2 or 3 months, my body was completely damaged. I got injuries in my feet. I got injuries in my elbows. Actually, I was practicing judo and I got a broken rib. So everything was against me. But I think that also helped me a lot, because inside something what was working, like my real spirit were working. And when I think my body tries to becoming stronger, that changed me completely, because I could go there every single day trying to join the practice, trying to do better Jigeko. And suddenly, someday in the dojo were some kind of internal competition. I won my shy against a first year guy, a Japanese guy. And it was like, no way, no, is it true? Is it really true? And I think at that time, not just for that, I think it was because we were going every day and the people watching us, we were accepted, my group of partners. Not all of us, because some of them decide to, okay, I'll take my time. It is really hard. I'm injured. I would try to come, I don't know, 3 times per week or something like that. But for me and my partners, we were a group of 3 or 4 people. We were going every day. And the sensei, I think, was watching us, and we were accepted for the group, and that was amazing. And man, if you ask me, my university is my pride. When I go there and I go into the dojo of IBU, it's like, wow, reborn. Yeah.
So I can imagine like there's so much time that you're spend training and actually at the university. Did you have a chance to go do anything else in Japan? Are there any memorable things that you were able to achieve or things you were able to do?
Well, yeah. That was amazing, because we joined a lot of shiai and competitions, for example, in Tokyo. We had a lucky to be friends of one of my senseis. Is actually a senpai into university now. His name is Yamakoshi Shota, and he was like keeping or taking care of us and trying to say like, okay, guys, you're practicing, right? Okay, let's join this tournament. And we were with him and trying to join the practice. For example, I joined, well, in that case was just me with Michael Prime and some guys of Kendo World, and we joined the for Work in the Network. We was Work in the Network, yeah, for Work in the Network, and we joined the alumni Taikai. Is people who were being part of some universities or something like that, and reaching team matches of 7 people, and I've been there, and we fought against Kaido University, and we lost every single match, but I scored a Nippon. So I think that was really good. And for the other part, I am a mountain lover. I'm in love with mountains, and I could, at the same time when I was practicing, I could climb Mount Fuji twice. One time, like kind of just friendly style with my friends, with the guys of the judo club, and our sensei, judo sensei, his name is Kashiwasaki sensei. And but for the second time, I tried to break the world record on Mount Fuji by myself, and I couldn't. It was really hard, but I did an attempt, and it was not that far, so it was good for me. And I reached a couple marathon competition and an ultramarathon mountain trail competition there. And yeah, I did a lot of stuff around about something like that. I tried to advantage in my time in Japan and trying, for example, to get a part-time job, some money to do these kind of things. And yeah, that was amazing. I love it.
Yeah, I'm just imagining you said 2 to 3 months in, your body was broken from all the practice.
Oh my
and
God.
Yet you're going to go try to do, you try to break a world record on climbing a mountain. That's some
yeah.
crazy stuff.
Yeah, and that's thanks for the training that I get into the dojo, you know.
Before we go back to your return to Ecuador, any other memorable things that happened during that one time in Japan when you were at the university?
Well, I think the best moment at the university was the last day. The last day at my university, I will never forget it. Because after this kind of crazy year and some months, I was actually thinking like, okay, maybe I did a good job and I'm not watching it. And when I reached the Kendo class, the Kendo training, I was talking with my friends and saying like, hey, in a couple of days, I'll back to my country. And they say, no, why you want to go back? And I really, I didn't want to come back, but I was like, yeah, my time expires and I have to go back. And they say like, no, Eddie, come on, you're a good Kendo player. And was really, really sad days for me. But I tried to keep hard practicing there into the dojo. And the last day, every guy wanted to do Jigeiko against me. Was like, yeah, it is going back, so let's kill him. But my sensei didn't know about it. The last day, I joined the dojo like 20 minutes before the sensei comes, and I was standing at the door waiting for him. And when he came to the door, watching me standing there like, hey, what are you doing here? And let go and come wearing doggy. And I said, Sensei, I can't wear doggy because I'm going back to my country today. And was like, wow, really? And I was like, yes, Sensei, my time expires and I have to go back. And he never tried the foreign people for the name. He was like just calling us Becca, like Becca, this, Becca. He's like, Eddie, he called me like, Eddie, I want to see you the next work in the championship. And I just say, hi, Sensei. And he extended me the hand. You know that, like a sensei trying to shake hands with you, it's not happening any day. And I was like, okay, is this some kind of joke? And when I step back, he will kill me or something like that. And it was actually, I think, the best thing that I will never forget, because I shake in his hand and say, hi, Sensei, and thank you very much for everything in this time. And he said like, okay, I will see you in the work in the championship. And he just went to the dojo and I started to cry and go into the airport crying, 2 hours crying. But I think now I can understand the message of the sensei, because he's saying like, okay, you don't need that kind of lovely kendo, or you don't need kind of gentle sensei every day. No. You need to keep practicing hard and you will see the results. Nobody will congratulate you. You have to check yourself. How's your body improving inside you, and how that will help to you in your life, for your students, for you, for yourself. So I think that's the best way.
Wow, yeah. What an amazing person and an amazing experience to have. And to see that at the end, after all that hard work, that it was recognized, like he saw you and it meant something to him that you were there. Mm-hmm. So yeah. When you think back at all these years that you've been training, I can imagine that being one of the highlights. Are there any other people that you would say that they were a huge inspiration or motivation for you in terms of getting you to where you are today? You mentioned like you have your sensei in Ecuador, your brother, your parents. Could you name a few people? And I find a good framework to think about it is everyone needs someone above them at the same level and below. So someone that's like a sensei that pulls them up, that teaches them, that shows them the way, someone at the same level as them that you're constantly fighting to try to beat each other and pushes you. And then someone below that you can teach and learn more about what it's like to be a beginner again, or someone that shows you what the energy is like to start. So do you have like those example of each of those three levels?
Yeah, well, above me, there's a lot of people that I want to be almost like them. The first person there is my Japanese sensei, is Iwakiri sensei. And I think next to him is Fernando sensei, is the president of Ecuadorian Association of Kendo. And it's just because he's a good example, a very, very, very correct person. And I try to teach from him the things that I don't have yet and I want to be. So they are above me, I think. Next to me, there's a lot of people. I think they are my students, they are my work partners, my boss. I think my friends, they are trying to go in next to me, trying to support me. And for example, I love my students and I really mean it. When I start the dojo, I have a lot of doubts, a lot of things like that make me think like I can't stand with it. Maybe what happened if I am a bad teacher? What happened if I don't know how to teach? And a couple years after that, I was coaching one of my students at the final of the Latin American Championship. And that was like, wow, I know you just wearing jogging pants and doing suriashi, you know, and now I'm here with you at the final of the Latin American Championship. So it was amazing. And I think lower than me, I think nobody is lower than me. I think a lot of people who, for example, the beginners of the people who's into the dojo, I think they are becoming a good kendokas. And I think I learned from them to how to start again, because I need to start again a lot of different kinds of spiritual things or mental things. I have to start again and again and again. Sometimes when I have some mistakes, I have to start again. And so from there, from the beginners of the first practitioners of people who are doing another sports, I think I'm learning. I like to learn from people, and I try to recognize my mistakes because I think I'm a bit proud man, and then sometimes that's a problem. But trying to stay humble and try to recognize me like a human being and recognize my mistakes, that helped me. And at that time, I kind of choose the people who's above, next, and lower than me. Yeah.
There's one thing you mentioned back there that I want to dive into a little bit was when you said starting your own dojo, there was this feeling of self-doubt. There was this feeling that you don't know if this will work and all that. And I think that that's something that very few people see. When someone starts a dojo, they're like, oh yeah, he's the teacher and he's ready and he's going to be successful and it's all celebrations. Can you talk a little bit more about what that feeling of not only doubting yourself, but also feeling of being alone? Yeah. Because in the past, you always had your dojo mates, you always had your sensei that they could just say, okay, why don't you do this and blah, blah, blah. But now there's that aspect to it. Can you go into that?
Yeah, I know. What do you mean? It's like now I'm here. This is my four walls, my roof. And it's all about you now. So yeah, at the beginning it was hard because I think for 1 week or 2 weeks, I didn't have anybody at the dojo, any student. Nobody wants to go into the dojo. It was like the people just stopping at the street, watching like Cuenca Budokan, and watch some guy into the dojo doing suburi alone, saying like crazy people at the neighborhood. But I think that sensations or that think like if you are trying something and you have the good intentions with the people, I think people also can feel it. And I think magically the people start to ask, what's happening here? What is this place? How it works? Who are you? And I think that starts. So at the, I think, week or two, the first starting camp, it was a son of my sister's friend. And she said like, okay, please do it with this, do something with this guy. I can't handle it with this guy at home. He's like, he's a mess. And I said like, okay, that will be my challenge. And yeah, it was really tough. He was growing up, and you know, like the most common thing now in our reality, like the guy who's addicted to the video games didn't want to go out and play some real games, just video games and at the computer the whole day. So it was a challenge because when I tried make him big, responsible, and have discipline or something like that, he was like, no, why? I don't want to do it. And that starts. So I think with him, I try to be friendly, but also tough. Sometimes friendly, sometimes tough. And I start like, okay, what my sensei will do in this situation? Like, okay, I will try with this and try with this and try with this. And he was a really, really challenging guy. I think after a month or something like that, I start to see some little changes and see some talent and see, yeah, he likes it. He didn't quit. He's here. And maybe it's because he likes it, and maybe I'm doing something good. I think that was a real change in my life. Then comes the second student, and he started to be senpai kohai relation, you know. He was like, no, sensei said like your shoes have to put it here. And okay, if you want something or you want to talk with the sensei, please be gentle and say like onegaishimasu or something. And I was like, okay, he's learning. Yeah. And I think that sensation of doubts or insecurity just vanished, you know, and that starts the real confidence. After a couple of months, I have a big group of students, and it was also challenging because here in my city, as I told you, like it's a very small city. Most of the people doesn't know what Kendo is, and was like after that to see a big group working in something like they never even hear about it was like, yes, it's work. It is working. So I think after that just came the hard practice. And the people at the dojo saying were starting to think, okay, what about if I joined some tournament, or if maybe we can go to the national championship, or maybe today is Shinsa, like we will improve or you know, our degrees or something like that. And so that I think keeps the people motivated. And now we are a dojo who survived the pandemic. And that made me feel so proud of my people.
That's so amazing, that story. And you need to feel very proud of what you've achieved there, because like it's so much that you've seen change. And what I'm hearing is less about these students being really strong at tournaments or whatever, but it's about gaining confidence and responsibility in themselves and for the dojo. And that's what you're trying to build. That's when you're trying to make a dojo, it's not about just winning taikais. It's about how do you create the community and take leadership. So that's amazing. I could really talk to you for a long time. There's so many interesting things, but I think that I would like to just get to know you a little bit better with some more fun questions. So these shorter, what I call rapid fire questions, just to wrap up this first interview, and hopefully we can have another one in the future.
Yes. Anytime.
So let's just go through the list here. First one would be, do you have a quote or a proverb or something that you think about that you live by or you practice by?
Miyamoto Musashi. I try to learn from his life and try to have many things of his life into mine. And for now, for example, I'm living alone, far away, when I don't have even network service or something. And at the beginning it was like, okay, in this era, it's difficult to don't have it. But when I kept practicing and learning about him, I think I want to be like
Okay. What have you changed your mind in the last couple of years? Something that before you believed in, that you thought was true, then now you know it's a little bit different, or something that was wrong in the past?
Well, I think the conception of my shy spirit. I think a couple of years ago, I was a really, really competitive person. And I thought like shy is the only thing that I have to keep focusing or something. And then when I think it starts when I start to practice Iaido. I had the luck to have practiced with the best Iaido guy in this planet, Kaneda Sensei, Hachidan Kyoshi. And I think that changed my mind, because when I started practicing Iaido, I understood the real meaning of what or who are you when you are holding a sword in your hands, and what you want to be, or what you want to change in your life when you have a sword. And I think Iaido and this thing changed my mind. For example, I had a lucky to have Kaneda Sensei as a shihan of my dojo. And now we are using also his family crest, his kamon, in our uniforms. And when I think about that, I think like, yeah, we are so lucky. And we don't have to think only like sportsmen, because, you know, as we were talking, I'm a sportsman since I was a kid. And the only thing that I kind of know in my life is the competition. But when I started practicing this, I thought like, no. The competition someday suddenly it disappears. But if you want to keep doing good Budo, the competition is just something temporary. Yeah.
To someone that only knows you through Kendo or Iaido or Budo, they might see you as someone that's very, very straight and dedicated to the practice and to be a leader in the dojo and to teach and to make sure everything is like just being the best you can. What is a guilty pleasure for you? What is something that is not really that straight? It's not someone that you look at and they're like, okay, this is respectful. What is something that, like, for example, some people really like to, I don't know, throw rocks at ducks or eat ice cream like every day or something like that? What is your guilty pleasure that you just enjoy doing?
Okay, well, my guilty pleasure is, I think, when I'm at the mountains. Yeah, I think when I have some free time, I'm trail runner and I'm a mountain guide, and I think when I share that moment, I think I can understand better when I go back to the dojo. And yeah, for example, at the mountains also, sometimes when I'm training, when I'm alone, I love it, but also I try to push myself so hard, you know, and trying to break records, my own records, or trying to go in far away, for example, until I joined my first ultra marathons. Okay, am I capable to resist 100 kilometers? Or am I capable to resist 100 miles? And I didn't know that, but I tried to train it and to keep training, and I did it. So yeah.
That's so funny, because normally when someone names a guilty pleasure, it's something that's not respectable. But in this case, yeah, I'm trying to look for something that, oh, maybe Eddie's not the perfect person, but even in his spare time, he's trying to break world records in marathons.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm just a big fan of the suffering, I think.
Okay, on a totally different direction, what is your comfort food then? What is something that when you're feeling down or when you want to remember something, you eat and it just puts a smile on your face?
Okay, ramen. Yes, I think it's for some reason. I think when I was living in Japan, I reached some kind of depressment the winter. You know, winter is also something emotive, like it's not that funny, it's not that good. And I was working hard and training hard also in the winter, but I thought like, okay, now I'm gonna think about this alone. And when I had some free time, I tried to go to Tokyo, trying to just sightseeing or something. But I said like, okay, now I'm gonna spend some money in something good food, some good food. And I just went downstairs to the Ichiran Ramen and I tasted and I say, wow, yes, this is very, very good. And I think that changed my, I don't know, my depressed, and it makes me feel happy. So I think my mind recorded. And now when I feel something like that, I'm trying to prepare some ramen. I'm not a good cooker, but I'm trying.
Oh, that's amazing. Actually, you can, in some supermarkets, at least here in Toronto, you can actually buy a set of Ichiran ramen sauce or whatever. So you can just make it at home.
Please send it to me.
Okay, last question before we wrap up. If someone were to open up your YouTube page, you know how YouTube on the front, on your homepage, it shows you videos that you might like based on what you've watched before. What type of videos will we see on your YouTube recommendation page?
Okay, my recommended. I think first it will appear some funny videos. Like things that I'm seeing like are completely ridiculous, but makes me laugh a lot. So yeah, I think that's the best, the first. Next to this will be mountain videos like climbing or kayaking or I don't know, trail running or mountaineering. And next to this will be Kendo videos of Taikai or some tournament in Japan or the lastest tournaments or that kind of suggestions of how to improve technicals or something. And the next will be music, definitely music. I live alone, so I love to listen to a good music in my free time.
That's great. So to wrap this up, is there any message that you want to leave with the audience, something that you want to just close off with, something you think about that you want to share?
Okay. Yeah, I think my message is, please just do what you love. It's like in this life, and I think that this year is kicking us and teaching us, saying like, hey, you don't know when's your time to leave this place. So please do what you love and do it with your whole spirit, with all your heart. And please think about other people. Try to keep thinking about you, to stay humble, to stay strong, and please be happy.
Thank you so much, Eddie. You're amazing. This was so fun. I learned so much. I found this conversation super interesting. I think I've already covered over 30 different countries, and this is probably one of my favorite conversations so far. So
thank you, Patrick. Yeah. I hope to meet you in person someday. I want to go there.
Absolutely. Yeah. And we still didn't even get to, okay, we definitely need a follow-up because we left something hanging without actually answering it, where your sensei said, see you at the next World Championships. And then, did that happen? I don't know. Don't say anything. We'll find out.
It will be a mystery for you.
Yes. All right. So thank you so much for this.
It was a pleasure for me to meet you.
It was great meeting you.
Thank you for inviting me.
Have a good night.
Have a good night. Bye-bye. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed that episode because we have a lot more exciting conversations to share as we explore the world of the traditional Japanese martial arts. The Inside Look podcast is available on most common podcasting platforms and on YouTube. Remember to subscribe to not miss out on new interviews as they are posted. We're always looking for feedback to improve, so please write us a review or drop us a line at podcast@tokushikai.ca or on Facebook and Instagram at tokushikai.canada. Until next time, thanks for listening.